Welcome to the April edition of the GETS Education Program. We're going to start off today with a review of last month. So we reviewed the invoice last month, and the learning objectives were to understand the contents of the GETS invoice, to understand the agency's responsibility for GETS invoicing, including monthly review, and to become familiar with primary reports and tools available to better understand and manage the GETS invoice. With the learning objectives evaluations, for those that were in person, there were copies of the summary attendance reports, and there were 12 attendees who didn't respond, and so we're asking that everyone who attends completes their evaluations at the end of the session so we can make sure we're meeting the learning objectives. Once again, a reminder of our schedule for the GETS Education Program. Our next session after Transformation, How to Work with GTA, will be EUC, which is End User Computing, and Service Desk. So we begin with Transformation. First, we want to ensure our common understanding, the learning objectives for this session. We'll ensure you understand GETS transformation charges and what they buy, understand how GETS transformation charges are calculated for the GETS invoice, understand who to contact and partner with in the SMO to meet your infrastructure and managed network needs. And if you are sitting down with your CRM after this session, we're going to ask that you complete your evaluation form. Of course, we're going to review the evaluations, and if there's a need for more information from the group, we'll add it to our curriculum and have another session. And if it's something specific to the agency, we'll schedule a one-on-one session to ensure you get what you need. We're committed to your success. So the agenda for the transformation portion is to understand GETS transformation charges and to understand how GETS transformation charges are calculated on your GETS invoice. But first, let's take a step back. Why transform in the first place? Why did the state pursue outsourcing? It was in order to reduce the state's risk by increasing IT maturity while containing cost. These pictures are some of the examples of many server room conditions around the state before the outsourcing. Why transform? Well, for security purposes. The outsourcing brought security to the state's IT environment. This picture is of North Atlanta Data Center, which is a Tier 4 data center. And you may be asking, well, what is a Tier 4 data center? It's a facility used to house computer systems and associated components where all cooling equipment is independently dual-powered, including chillers and heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems. It's fault-tolerant site infrastructure with electrical power storage and distribution facilities guaranteeing 99.995% availability. Tier 4 is the highest tier of all data center rankings. We also have videos highlighting the NADC available from your CRM, as well as the GETS videos for the GETS Consolidated Service Desk and State Print Shop videos that are posted online. Why transform? For safety reasons. The state has failover systems to ensure business continuity. We have failover in Boulder, Colorado with IBM and Nashville, Tennessee with AT&T. Why transform? Our systems were in need of transformation. Service providers are upgrading the infrastructure that supports existing services and transforms services. Microsoft Exchange is one of the examples of the systems we're upgrading. What will it do? Well, let me ask you these questions. Wouldn't it be great to be able to set up a meeting across multiple agencies and see everyone's calendar and Outlook? What about finding an email address in a statewide directory? Transforming the state to Exchange will do that for us. Why transform? Sustainability. Service providers are moving the management of services to a higher maturity level. IT maturity is a word you may hear regarding GETS. It simply means to what degree does information technology link to and support your business goals. With the GETS model, we have moved from a technology operations focus to a business productivity focus. So why do security, safety, systems, and sustainability matter? Because transformation ultimately reduces risk to the business and makes an IT a strategic asset. So we have a Tier 4 data center, we have full-time monitoring support, we have security, we have refresh for hardware, there's transparency today that we didn't have before in billing and incident reporting, and there's enterprise reporting as well. So the transformation makes IT a strategic asset that supports the business. And looking back, we can see the transformation was very important. The Georgia Infrastructure Transformation Project demonstrated the state's commitment to invest in IT. The Office of Planning and Budget exempted GET spend in budget reduction targets for agencies in fiscal years 2009 through 2012. GET's end-user computing refresh program for desktops, laptops, and tablet hardware is underway to keep those devices current, and phone system refresh program is also in place. Our takeaway is that the state of Georgia made the necessary investments in technology to bring our IT environment to a supportable and sustainable level. Now let's look at understanding transformation. So we talked about why we did it. Now let's look at the scope. So transformation involves server consolidation and storage consolidation. We talked about the Tier 4 data center. We also have a robust backup and archive solution now. We have Active Directory, file and print services, and email. That's Exchange that I mentioned before. We have the Administration of the State of Georgia network as a whole, and Enterprise Exchange Environment provides, like I mentioned, the State of Georgia address book and common calendaring platform. With desktop and server security, our security is kept up to date because we're all on common platforms now, and the operating systems are kept in support. And for voice and data networks, you have PBX, Centrex, and T-Systems that are being refreshed. So once again, with that scope, the importance and benefits of enterprise transformation, or it aligns the state of Georgia with long-term enterprise strategy. It leverages the state's purchasing power to reduce information technology total cost of ownership. It provides standard new technology, standardizes IT tools and data center environment, provides hardware currency and new virtualization technology, and provides for reduced security risks and enhanced business continuity. So this slide reiterates the importance and benefits of enterprise transformation. So let's now move on to understanding GET's transformation charges. What makes up transformation costs? The transformation costs are the investments by our vendors to enhance services through the transformation activities throughout the term of the contract. These activities are milestone-based. IBM and AT&T charges are tied to respective vendor contracts we have, and GTA customers are charged for the transformation through Transformation Resource Unit. The transformation costs include fees for centralized management tools, the data center migration and consolidation activities, wall-to-wall inventory, knowledge transfer, and online service, catalog, GSmart, etc. Why is transformation billed to agencies? IBM and AT&T together invested over $100 million, and we have to pay them back. The amortization of the transformation milestones are for the life of the contracts with IBM and AT&T, 10 years for IBM and 5 years for AT&T. As an authority, GTA was able to amortize the payback of the service provider partners' investments over the life of those contracts. GTA bills all agencies for transformation to maximize state funds by taking advantage of federal grant matches and other fund sources. GTA is responsible to drive innovation for IT for the state of Georgia and will continue to invest in the infrastructure of the state. So the timing of the transformation charges. Transformation charges have been amortized throughout the life of the vendor contracts. It's often that agencies ask, well, if my agency has been transformed, why are we still receiving transformation charges? So the transformation charges are tied back to the milestone-based amounts from the vendor contracts which GTA has amortized. Transformation charges are not specific to the transformation activity that takes place at an agency. They're an allocation. The transformation charges are milestone-based and vary year to year in the vendor contracts. When new contracts are negotiated with our vendors, there will be a cost for innovation and technology. Once transformed, the state will have to continue to invest in technology as changes come. Without the continued investment, we could find ourselves in a similar situation that led to the outsourcing. Resource unit charges driven by transformation activity. We have talked about transformation as a cost, but we also use the term transformation as an activity. Those transformation activities drive cost. This slide outlines those resource units that are driven by transformation activity. You have server consolidation as an example. You might have an old server that's been decommissioned and a new server stood up in the NADC. Well, this results in application hardware service charges for that new server. Storage that was once on a local server drive paid through a one-time capital expense is now on Tier 2 or Tier 3 storage area network in the transformed environment. So this would also be a new charge that results from transformation activity. And once stood up in the NADC as part of server consolidation, backup and recovery services take the place of take backup. There may be charges outside of GETS that come as a result of server consolidation. Some examples are application remediation costs for moving an application to a new server platform. Also licensing fees for moving a server that may have had 4 CPUs in the past to one now that has 8 CPUs, and the licensing is based on CPU count. And now we're going to talk about understanding how GETS transformation charges are calculated for the GETS invoice. So the billing to transformation, we have transformation costs that are billed on each GTA GETS invoice. GTA invoices transformation costs on an allocated basis. This allocation is an allowable methodology per OMB A87. OMB 87 is a federal guideline that is further defined in this presentation's glossary. The allocation is spread to agencies according to their forecasted percentage of GETS spend by tower. The transformation costs are allocated to customers benefiting from the infrastructure improvements made to the enterprise. This allocation is spread by vendor in order to keep M&S customers from incurring infrastructure transformation costs. And those transformation costs are made up of common costs and tower-specific costs. We will go through the allocation calculation in the next few slides. So here's an example of the transformation cost calculation that is done by Service Tower for an agency. You take an agency's forecasted GETS cost within a tower, and then you take the total forecasted enterprise cost for that tower. You do the division there, and then you multiply that by the annual transformation cost for a tower. Now we have a more detailed explanation to follow. Here's the calculation example. First, you determine the total GTA cost of all agencies for a tower, and that's represented here by the pie. In this specific example, the tower is worth $50 million. And then one agency's piece of that pie would be $10 million in this example. Then you divide an agency's tower cost by the total cost of all agencies in that tower to figure out an agency's percentage of the tower. So if an agency is about $10 million in a certain tower, and that total tower is $50 million, then you can figure out an agency's percentage of that total cost. And in this example, it's 20%. So lastly, we multiply the agency's percentage of tower cost with the total transformation cost for a tower. So you have that 20% that we calculated on the previous slide. We multiply it by the total transformation cost by tower, in this example, $5 million. So an agency's transformation cost by tower, in this case, will be $1 million. So then we take that $1 million and we divide it by 12, and that makes for equal monthly payments on the GETS invoice. The transformation costs per tower are part of the contracts with IBM and AT&T. It is important to point out that the transformation cost was a dollar amount that was agreed to at the signing of the contract. The actual payback is spread over the life of the contracts based on IBM or AT&T completing their milestones. The dollar amounts do not change. At the commencement, we expected IBM to have 200 people on the State of Georgia account. Due to the complexities of transformation activities and services, today they have more than 600 people. The point is both service providers have had to assign more resources to the State of Georgia. Due to this fixed price for transformation in the contract, the State of Georgia was protected from price increases from the vendors. The transformation charges per tower agency are calculated annually. So each year an agency's percentage of tower is going to change, with each year driven by changes in volume by each agency in that tower. Finally, the transformation charges are an allocation, and an agency is going to really have no impact on changing that percentage of allocation. So in summary, IBM and AT&T made investments into our infrastructure, IT infrastructure that we couldn't make. The transformation costs are the initial investments by IBM and AT&T to make the state's infrastructure improve to a safe and supportable level. Transformation charges on the GTA invoice leverage GTA's ability as an authority to amortize transformation costs and maximize state funds by taking advantage of federal grant matches and other fund sources. Transformation charges are allocated through a federally approved method to agencies based on the amount of GET services consumed per tower. Now we will transition on how to work with GTA. So the agenda for this part of the presentation is we're going to cover the partnership, how GETS works within GTA as an authority, the engagement model, people and roles that are involved, the relevant transactions you have as an agency, and the processes and tools that you can use for that. I'd like to note that there's an extensive glossary at the end of this presentation for any terms that you may not be familiar with. So let's start with the partnership. On each floor at GTA, we have a display that loops the missions of our state agencies, as it is GTA's mission to help state agencies achieve their missions. Another way to look at our partnership is like this. Agencies have all the business and application expertise and the ownership of your mission and how to deliver that. Our vendor partners bring all their technical expertise, business best practices, and tools and reports. GTA is part of the partnership to help align interest, educate and assist, and foster the partnership. This partnership works well when all of us have a commitment to being good partners, to hold each other accountable for best practices and continuous improvement, effectively communicating with one another, and being transparent with one another. GTA is intentional in trying to foster the partnership between the agencies and the vendor partners so we see gets improve over time. So now let's look at gets within GTA. This is a hybrid org chart of the Georgia Technology Authority. The green boxes represent the service management organization under D. Johnson, called the SMO. They are focused on gets as far as managing services, managing the contracts with our vendors, managing the vendor relationships, and managing agency relationships. But GTA is much broader than just the SMO. You can see there are organizations within GTA that most agencies would have, like accounting, budgeting, HR, etc. Unique to GTA under Calvin Rhodes, we have Steve Nichols. He's the state CTO and acts as the CIO of GTA and manages the portal group. You have Tom Fruman's team, Enterprise Governance and Planning. They look forward to the future to plan for technology in the long term. In addition, they provide governance to make sure technology use meets state guidelines. We also have data sales, which generates revenue for GTA from services like Felon Search and Rover. This slide shows the service management organization where it functionally operates. GTA's SMO is dual-facing between the agencies and the service provider partners to facilitate those relationships. These are the SMO roles and organization. The customer relationship managers, called CRMs, are within the customer relationship organization led by Steve McGinnis. They're your primary interface between GTA and our vendors. They're a focal point, advocate, coordinator, and advisor, and broker of additional resources. The project managers are part of the business management office at GTA. They're led by Erica Keller. The PMs are assigned to all transformation projects. They're assigned to key enterprise projects. And the project portfolio manager oversees agency RFS project portfolio. The tower consultants are led by Chris McClendon, are aligned by technical discipline. They are technical subject matter experts, and they're over specific towers like EUC server and mainframe voice and WAN. As liaisons to vendor partners, they translate well between the business and technology. They are an important interface to IBM and AT&T. The financial analysts within the ASO are led by David Cordwall, who reports to GTA's CFO. They are the financial subject matter experts over billing, disputes, and forecasting, and they interface with vendor finance subject matter experts. And then there's the vendor partner resources involved as needed. So this is a picture of the GTA engagement model. So you see is the agency made up of business owners, agency focals, CIO and the team, and the CFO and the team. And then you have GTA. Your primary interface is your CRM, your customer relationship manager. They can find the additional resources you may need. There are several GTA resources that you may interface with directly. Those being RFS managers, project managers, tower consultants, financial analysts. These GTA contacts may involve other resources from our vendor partners and open up a direct channel of communication with them for you. Please copy your CRM on any correspondence you may have so they will be aware of what's going on. The CRM can also open up direct lines of communication with IBM, AT&T, or Dell on projects or transformation or incidents. The black lines on this chart showing our vendor partners indicate direct connections that may last for a while. For instance, during the life of an incident, but then will go away. The CRM is also going to be your broker to find the right resources to make sure they get connected with you. The intent is not for the CRM to always be the conduit of communication, but be the resource and broker of and be in the line of communication. These are your CRM assignments by agency, as you may already be well familiar with who is helping you from GTA. So the CRMs lead GTA involvement on many agency-initiated transactions. Involve your CRMs early and keep them involved. Think of them as a member of your staff. If you're establishing new infrastructure systems or projects, get them involved early there as well. They can get the right technical folks involved. Your CRMs weekly are meeting with agencies to make sure ongoing projects and issues are getting the appropriate focus. They can help get things moving along and escalate issues if necessary. For instance, they can get an incident security level raised if necessary. But we all know that not every issue can be escalated to Calvin Rhodes. There's also an RFS review project underway to address the RFS process. Some of the outcomes are IBM adding 17 resources to the RFS process and the creation of a new server depot to shorten the hardware acquisition cycle. CRMs can also help in the area of billing questions, consumption trends. There is a VCT report they send to you each month with a 13-month view and a graphical display. They are reviewing your consumption trends and will call out areas that may need your attention. They can help with ordering and discontinuing services to manage consumption as well. CRMs can't help much with application lifecycle management. In addition, CRMs can't help with agency IT budget or funding. That lands with OPB. So let's take a look at relevant tools and transactions. So the tools you have to manage consumption are GSmart, which gets you billing details and reporting. You have the VCT, which is the volume and charges trend reporting. You have the Order Now online service catalog that you can use to stop and start and change services and request RFS. You have the service desk to get help and report problems. And you have Maximo for asset inventory and incident management. There are common transactions for consumption management. The big takeaway from this slide is that there's only one tool, Order Now, the online service catalog that you need to use for consumption management. You can put in an IMAC, which stands for Install, Move, Add, or Change. You can put in an IMAC request. These are for routine requests. If your request is more complex, you can open an RFS, a request for solution, to address your needs. Involve your CRMs on all these so they can give you the inside scoop of the effects of the changes that you wish to make. So in summary, utilize your CRM as a member of your team to discuss options for business and IT improvements, engage additional GTA and vendor resources, escalate incidents or problems, help drive project progress, help with issue resolution, and management and bridge access. Also help with consumption management and billing issues. Now, as a preview of what's ahead, our next education topic is end-user computing in the service desk. Our learning objectives will be better understanding your GET services, knowing the charges from your research units for your GET services, and knowing how to leverage processes and tools to better manage your service usage. And as we come to a close, please fill out your learning objectives evaluation as you're reviewing this with your CRM. And our next session is May 23rd, 2013. Thanks for participating today.